Alright, I'm back. Surgery's done with. Hopefully I never have to do that again. And I'm ready to talk about Superman and Lois Episode 3. And look, I understand that this is a CW show, and CW shows are kind of required to have certain things. But can we please dial back on the teen angst a little bit? That young demographic may be what really blows your skirt up, CW, but there's a chance that teenage viewers are not necessarily tuning into this show to see annoying teenage characters constantly whining about their emotional problems. In fact, they might be tuning in to see Superman doing superhero stuff. Yeah, I really blew your mind with that one, didn't I? Do you need to sit down and let that sink in? Well, how about this? You take a minute while I roll the intro, then I'll come back and explain how focusing on your high school football team subplot over literally anything superhero related might not be the best way to go. Be right back. The episode begins with the Kent family trying to choose which color to paint the walls of the house. This turns into a playful paint fight, but then Clark has to zoom off when something actually interesting happens. There's a big suspension bridge that's collapsing with a whole bunch of people about to die, so Superman flies under it, catches the bridge, and saves everyone. It's a pretty big and impressive looking set piece, and easily the coolest thing Superman does in the whole episode. Unfortunately, it has literally nothing to do with the actual plot of the episode, and is literally only there so they can have some kind of action between now and the climax. And since Captain Luthor doesn't appear this week, most of the rest of the episode is about Jordan joining the football team and Lana's daughter bitching at her about how much her life sucks. Because that's what we're watching a Superman show for. So over breakfast, the boys ask their dad about the super hearing thing. Apparently, Clark can hear every sound in the entire world, and they're wondering how he distinguishes between someone calling for help and someone calling for a cab. That's something I've wondered about for a long time too, actually. Superman shows always seem to treat the super hearing like a thinly veiled early warning system, where he hears completely normally, but the super hearing will just magically kick in when someone's calling for help. How does that work? Clark's explanation doesn't really answer this question, but at least they tried to address it, I guess. Jordan would rather have super hearing than heat vision, but his parents tell him that every power comes with responsibilities and rules meant to protect him, so he needs to be mindful of his actions. A lesson Jordan will completely ignore, which Clark will then decide to just give him a pass on by the end of this one. So Clark wants them to have a normal life, but it seems like he thinks the fact that Jordan is not normal isn't as big a deal as it really should be. We cut to Lana and Kyle sitting in a car, waiting to pick up Sarah from therapy, and arguing about whether they should go to the waiting room or just sit here. Kyle doesn't see what the big deal is about the waiting room, but Lana's worried about people seeing them and asking questions. I'm with Kyle on this one. Who cares if people find out? You think you're the only one whose kid has ever been in therapy, Lana? It's not as uncommon as you think. Good lord, and I thought my town was small. Then Sarah jumps in the car, Lana asks her how it went, and Sarah whines that she's been asking that every 10 seconds. Well, not answering the question when she asks it doesn't help, does it? If you don't want to talk about it, just say it went fine and change the subject like a normal teenager. The next day, Jordan tries to ask Sarah to hang out after school, but she sees her asshole boyfriend glaring at Jordan like he wants to pick his teeth with him, so she bails before Jordan can get all the words out. I guess Sarah's really big on conflict avoidance. She just doesn't want to deal with any of it, because then the asshole boyfriend roughs Jordan up, and suddenly Sarah's long gone. What a nice girl. So the asshole boyfriend, whose name I still can't remember, is pissed that Jordan is always floating with his girlfriend, shoves him up against a locker, tries to throw his weight around, but John tries to help while Jordan is this close to losing his temper and taking this kid's head off. But lucky for him, Clark was listening in and shows up to put a stop to this before Jordan, makes a mess. But instead of thanking their dad for de-escalating the situation and stopping Jordan from doing something he'd be tried as an adult for, the boys are pissed off that Clark was listening in on what they were doing. Why this surprises them is what I don't get. They just had a conversation where he told them that he hears every sound in the world. So yeah, if they get into a fight at school, he's gonna hear that shit. And rather than thank him, they're too busy being angry and offended that he was spying on them to really consider that. Jordan thought his dad trusted him, but turns out he doesn't. Jordan, you were 5 seconds away from turning Sarah's boyfriend into a blood smear on the wall. Shut up. At dinner, Lois mentions that she's been asking around about that reverse mortgage business, but she's not having much luck because the people of Smallville aren't interested in talking to someone who's not from Smallville. So the people of a small town don't like talking to people who aren't from the same small town they are. That's how inbreeding starts, writers. I know the show takes place in Kansas, but still, that's not cool. Also, Clark hasn't talked to the boys since he stopped Jordan from revealing his superpowers in the first week of school, which is a problem that Lois knows how to fix. Just make them the same promise you made me when I found out you were listening in on everything I did. You want him to promise them that he won't tell anyone what they call their... So Clark promises the boys no more listening in. Ah, that was so close. But from what he said earlier, this doesn't sound like something he can just switch on and off. So I'm not sure how he plans to keep that promise. Over at the Smallville Gazette, the editor Chrissy wants Lois to write a puff piece on some local boring something or other. Wow, I'm so glad Lois is working at this rag instead of the Daily Planet, where big important news is breaking on a regular basis. I'm sure getting away from that is going to be great for her career. Then some woman walks in whose son was working for that mine that Morgan Edge opened up in another town until Edge offered him a big opportunity, and then he mysteriously went missing, leaving a message on her voicemail basically telling her goodbye. Now she wants to help nail Morgan Edge to the wall for whatever nefarious shit he pulled here. And while this is happening, some shady-looking dude is taking pictures of them through the window. So Lois's first big lead just walks in the front door. Seems way too easy to me, but I guess if they spent time on Lois actually investigating stuff, then there wouldn't be enough time to show Jordan watching Sarah break up with her asshole boyfriend, and then one of the asshole boyfriend's asshole cronies telling him to stay in his lane. And we wouldn't want to miss that, would we? We also check in on the cheerleading squad that Lana coaches. She dresses down Sarah in front of everybody for not trying hard enough, so Sarah figures, screw this, and quits. Then, since Jordan is sick and tired of the football team trying to beat him up, he decides to get revenge on them by trying out for the football team so he can beat them up. They try to make it sound more complicated than that, but it's really not. And the writers are going to frame this as a good thing by the end of the episode, so buckle up. John tries to be the voice of reason here. What about your powers? This goes against everything we talked to Dad about. But Jordan's not too concerned about that right now, so he gets on the field and just crushes everybody. The coach instantly loves Jordan, so much so that he chews John out and makes him run laps for hiding Jordan from him. And that seems really unfair to John, who was the only person talking sense in this scene. Okay, the football thing. I understand Jordan wanting to do it, but it's a terrible idea. As much as I think Smallville was a really dumb show most of the time, even they managed to get this right. Clark wanted to play football, but his dad wouldn't let him because he'd be risking revealing his powers, it wouldn't be fair to the other players, and also he could kill someone. So Clark just didn't play football. And he wasn't happy about it, but hey, that's life sometimes. And they try to do a similar thing here, but they walk back on it really quickly, because apparently Jordan's feelings are more important than keeping his powers a secret and not risking the lives of everyone on the field. We get more stuff with the kids talking about their feelings. They're at the diner. Sarah says school has been back for a week and everything was the same, so she just felt like changing everything. Then Lana marches in wanting to know what the deal is, and according to Sarah, she's always hovering around like this because she's afraid that Sarah might kill herself. Why? Because you OD'd on your mom's meds, you've been in therapy for a year, and now you're quitting everything you used to identify yourself with? Man, parents overreact to everything, don't they? Then, so pissed off about her mom's hovering is Sarah that she proceeds to air all her family's dirty laundry in a single line. Lana pretends their family is awesome, but it's really a dumpster fire. Kyle sleeps on the couch every night. Sophie bullies all the kids in her class, and Lana can't go to bed without taking a pill. And this was a whole lot of telling and no showing whatsoever. I wasn't even sure who Sophie was supposed to be for a minute. Did the little sister not have a name until just now? I don't remember, but you just dumped all this stuff in our lap for the first time. You can't expect us to give a shit about it just like that. So Lana takes Sarah and storms out, brushing right by Clark, and then Jordan hides him joining the football team from Clark, because keeping secrets from a guy who can hear every sound on Earth will be a piece of cake, I'm sure. Over at the newspaper, Chrissy thinks the woman from earlier, Sharon, is not a terribly credible source because she sounded like a conspiracy theorist and smelled like booze. Lois wants a chance to prove she's right because this is what Chrissy hired her for, to write stories like this one, but Chrissy points out that this isn't the Daily Planet and they don't really have the budget to conduct investigations that last for weeks. I mean, what kind of newspaper does Lois think this is? The entire staff is 2 people. Then they hear a noise, they run outside, and they find Lois's car on fire. So, about that investigation. The boys argue about Jordan playing football again. John still doesn't like it. Football's always been his thing, and Jordan doesn't even like football. The only reason he's playing is because he has super strength. And Jordan counters that the only reason he's playing is because those assholes need to back off, which is an argument that is really making John's point for him, but Jordan doesn't seem to care. John correctly points out that someone could get hurt, but Jordan doesn't like people treating him like a ticking time bomb and thinks he's not doing anything wrong. Oh, so the kid who blew something up the second time he used his powers doesn't like being treated like a bomb, huh? Hope the irony's not lost on you, Jordan. Yeah, Jordan's not coming off well here. I get why he feels this way, but he is doing something wrong. Pretty much every argument he gives is another reason for him not to be doing this, and the fact that the episode is going to end up taking his side really makes me think the writers had the wrong idea here. So Lois thinks she made a fool of herself calling out Morgan Edge the way she did. Maybe not as foolish as you appearing in Crisis on Infinite Earths, Lois, but it's up there. But her gut's telling her that there's more to this. Also, the Molotov cocktail in her car kind of tipped her off. So Clark encourages her to keep on digging. Later on, Clark meets Lana at the bank with some paperwork. She apologizes for brushing him off at the diner, and then just unloads all her personal problems on him, most of which we haven't been privy to at all. And Clark gets it. It's really hard knowing what kids are thinking at this age. And then Lana mentions Jordan's burgeoning football stardom, which somehow comes as a shock to the man who can hear every sound in the world. Okay, back to football practice, because this was something we needed to see even more of. They're doing some tackling drill, and the asshole ex-boyfriend wants to use this as an excuse to rough up Jordan some more, but Jordan just flattens him like a pancake. But give the kid a little credit, he then apologizes for kissing Sarah, and the ex-boyfriend seems to accept this, while Clark watches from the sidelines disapprovingly. So Clark's not happy. Jordan ignored his wishes, didn't take his advice, is using his powers to put the other kids in danger, all very valid reasons for him not to play football. But Jordan takes everything as a personal attack. My powers suck, remember? Everything you do is a mistake. I wish you'd go back to not being around all the time. Look, I know they're telling a story here, but Jordan bitching at his dad every week is getting old fast. Yeah, Jordan's got reasons too, but his dad is frickin' Superman, one of the most moral, virtuous Boy Scouts in the DC universe. All these bad father jabs are just not doing it for me. Jordan has a right to feel like he's getting a raw deal here, but my sympathy ended when he put the football team in a position where they could end up in traction if he's not super careful. Lois tells Clark that Jordan didn't mean this, but they need to find what he's really angry about and fix that. But her son hating his father's guts can wait for later. Right now, she has to go meet a suspicious character at a seedy motel. John tries talking to Jordan again. He notices that Jordan got a text from some guy on the team to talk about defensive plays or whatever, and Jordan getting one text is all it takes to completely change John's mind about this whole thing. So he tries to convince Clark that Jordan risking crippling someone or worse just because he wants to toss a pigskin around might be just what Jordan needs to feel better about himself. Jordan was making friends. It seemed like this made him happy. So again, Jordan's feelings are more important than people's safety, and it bothers me how unbothered the writers seem to be about using this argument. Clark says Jordan using his strength like this could make people suspicious, but John argues that Jordan doesn't have strength like Clark. Maybe he just has enough to even the playing field for a kid his size. John, if Jordan is using superpowers to even the playing field, maybe the playing field isn't the real issue here. They really don't seem to understand why this is a problem. It's not about making an even playing field, it's about Jordan having an unfair advantage over everyone else. And yeah, maybe Jordan isn't strong enough to bend a human body into a pretzel with his thumb and index finger yet, but he's had superpowers for what, a fucking week? 2 weeks? They don't know how his powers are gonna develop. He already nearly killed a bunch of people once already because he didn't know what he could do. What if he gets super speed next? What if that kicks in the middle of a game and he cuts some poor kid in half like Huey's girlfriend on The Boys? And John asking what's the point of having something special if you're not allowed to be special doesn't make this argument any better. The point is to keep Jordan's powers a secret, John. The point is to not put the other kids in danger. I don't know why those aren't the top priorities in this situation, but the longer they make Jordan's feelings out to be more important than that stuff, the less I care about Jordan's feelings. So Lois shows up at the motel. She found 3 other employees of Morgan Edge that she can't account for, so she's meeting Sharon here to look into it. But the shady guy who was taking pictures earlier meets her in the room instead. So he tries to get the episode back on track with some supervillain stuff. She fights back and stabs him in the ear with a pen. Which... oh, God, that's nasty. I cringed watching that, Jesus. Then she pulls out the summoner gizmo, flips the switch, and Superman flies to the rescue. Or so you'd think. But turns out this guy is super strong. So much so that he catches Clark and just starts beating him down like a little bitch. So he's strong enough to kick Superman's ass, but not so strong that non-superpowered Lois couldn't hurt him with a fucking pen? Is feminism in a power class above the Man of Steel now? Oh God. It's back. Writers, you've been pretty good at keeping identity politics out of this show so far, and the results have been promising. Please don't go making a habit of doing shit like this, okay? I'm sure you're tempted, but try to fight that impulse just this once. So Lois finds Sharon tied up in the bathroom. She yells at Superman to get his ass in gear, so he tries to pull his big boy pants back up as best he can. He uses his freeze breath and his super speed to knock this guy around and send him packing, and he gets away. I'm willing to give them a pass on this one, though. This isn't like when Batwoman does it. Sharon needs to get to a hospital, and this dude does have super strength, so subduing him first and then helping Sharon might take more time than she's got. So that was alright. Then, just when you'd really had enough of people talking about Jordan's feelings, it's time for Lana and Sarah to talk about theirs. They used to be so close, but now there's a distance between them since Sarah took all those pills, and Sarah never even told Lana why she did that, which Lana's been messed up over ever since. And Sarah says she did it because she felt trapped by her life, and the only future she saw for herself was one she didn't want. Which means she basically tried to kill herself because she was afraid she'd turn into her mom. And all things considered, Lana takes this revelation surprisingly well. Lana feels lost too, so she gets it. They're gonna try to figure out what kind of life would make Sarah happy, and they hug. And I feel bad criticizing this scene. The acting is fine, and it is a sensitive issue for a lot of people, but it doesn't hit you the way it should because they're talking about things that the audience has never seen, with most of this stuff just being sprung on us from out of nowhere. Show don't tell is a thing for a reason, guys. Seeing flashbacks to Sarah ODing or more scenes of them not getting along before you pulled the trigger on this story would have helped a lot. But if you're only telling us in the 3rd episode with almost no build-up, then it all just feels kinda half-assed. Back on the farm, Clark tells Jordan a story about how in 9th grade he wanted to try out for the baseball team, but his dad said no. And he almost tried out anyway, but then realized that him wanting to play wasn't really about baseball, but was mostly about a girl. So he decided not to try out for the team, and then spent the next 20 years regretting not trying out for the team. So if there's a moral of this story, I have no idea what it is. Clark asks Jordan if playing football is what he really wants, and turns out it is. Jordan says these last few days have been amazing, presumably because he's been really enjoying beating the football assholes to shit, because that's the only thing we've seen him doing. but he's really liking it, and he's sure he can keep his powers under control. Not because of any actual reason, mind you, he just magically knows he can somehow because that's what's in the script. So Clark decides to let him play, and the danger of Jordan accidentally injuring or killing someone, I guess, is just not gonna be a thing anymore. I have to say, I really wish that had played out differently. So Sarah's gonna come to the game on Friday, and her and Jordan are getting extra flirty. Chrissy apologizes to Lois for not wanting her to do the investigation that the Gazette doesn't have the money to do, and has now decided that they're going to do it despite not having the money to do it. Because then Chrissy shows Lois the research that she's already done, and Lois wonders why a person with superpowers would be working for Morgan Edge. And we end with said superpowered guy in a car telling someone on the phone that Superman saved Sharon and asking how Lar is going to take care of it, and then he's stopped by a mysterious woman on the road who heat visions him to death. I'm gonna call this the weakest episode so far. The actual Superman stuff was good, minus the part where Lois could more easily injure the super strong dude than Superman could. That. But the action itself I liked. Unfortunately, the better of the two action scenes was completely inconsequential to the plot. The Morgan Edge story got a lot more interesting this week, but it seems relegated to B or C plot status for now. The Jordan stuff, which most of the episodes seem to focus on, is dangerously close to becoming legitimately annoying. Every week he's angry, angsty, and bitching at his dad about something. And that's not helped by the fact that the show seems like it's more about Jordan than Superman a lot of the time, going so far as to take his side in this football argument when it really shouldn't have. I'm sorry, I am not on board with that at all. I'm starting to feel like this character is being shoved down my throat, and it's a little too much too fast. John is likable enough, I guess, but he doesn't have much to do yet. His whole identity right now is just reacting to Jordan. And when the writers tried to give Sarah some development, it came off as pretty shoddy due to most of the stuff we needed to see for that story to work happening off screen. So I'm not saying this was a bad episode exactly, but most of the focus was on the wrong things, and I'm getting a little impatient with the teen angst and people talking about their feelings taking precedence over actual superhero stuff. Still way, way better than anything Batwoman's delivered this season, but this may have been the first warning sign that Superman and Lois isn't necessarily firing on all cylinders. And that's your review. I'm not really a Superman guy, so I don't know how long I'll be covering this show. I'll see what the views are like and then make a decision about that. In the meantime, leave a comment to help fight off the YouTube algorithm, ding the bell icon for notifications, and follow me on social media so you'll always know when I upload something. The link is down there. Thumbs up the video, share, subscribe, make sure you're still subscribed, and I'll be back with more very soon. Until then, you guys take care, do all the YouTube things, and I'll see you next time.